dire. For now, school children have resorted to peer learning as there's no end in sight to the return of their teachers to the classrooms.
So this is the Kanda AMA Basic School. It's actually a cluster of schools. We also have the Ring Road East Junior High School, and it's obvious that the teachers are not in class. The kids have a field day. Others are playing. They are doing their own thing. They are not in the classroom. They are loitering around. You see a couple of teachers, but they are not teaching. The schools are opened all right, but the kids are simply not engaged in any academic activity. So you see some of the kids playing football. Others are engaging in all manner of things. What's your name?
Yaira.
Which class are you?
Class 3.
Class 3.
Yes.
So where are your teachers?
They are on strike.
They are on strike?
Yes.
What did they tell you? Yesterday were you in school?
Yes.
What did you learn yesterday?
I learned about how to read English language.
Your teachers came to school yesterday?
No.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Where are your teachers?
Sir, please, I don't know.
Did they come to school today?
No, sir.
Yesterday too?
No, sir.
So what have you been doing the entire day?
Sir, please, we was in the class and they come and lost the door.
You were in the class and they came to lock the doors?
Yes. It was break. I will go out for break.
What's your name?
My name is Sandra.
Sandra. Where are your teachers?
They are not there.
They are not there. What have you been told? Where are they?
They have gone to strike.
They are going to strike?
Yes.
They've gone on strike, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
So what have you been doing ever since you came to school today? Tell me.
We have been playing ampe and we play football too.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yes.
You wish every day were today, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't want your teachers back?
We want our teachers back.
So what are you telling your teachers and government?
I'm telling them that they should come to school and come and show us things so that we'll learn.
My name is Mozambique Osman.
Okay. So what have you been doing today?
We have not been learning, but we wish our teachers were in school today to teach us, because we will lose a lot before our teachers will come back. And because I don't see if the president we are pleading the president to bring us to do what our teachers need, because some of the parliamentarians, their students are not attending government school. We are the ones attending the government, and it will affect us. It will not affect them. So their future is further than us. We are now coming into the future. So they should help us, and we are pleading them to make our teachers wish for them. That is what we are pleading the government to fulfill. But we heard that they are going for a meeting today, and we know that they will bring a positive answer for us.
Hey, how did you know all of that they were going for a meeting today?
And
you listen to the news a lot?
Yes, I listen to the news, because yesterday I heard the news, and we are all sad yesterday, because we knew that yesterday will be a better day for us. We came to school, we did not learn anything. None of the teachers were in the school. Most of us were misbehaving on the compound. That's not good for us, and we need to improve our life. So we are pleading the government to bring us back our teachers.
So that's how dire the situation is on campus, with the students themselves raising fears that there's no end in sight to the strike, and that may affect their academic output. My colleague Richard Kojonyako there, who will be joining us in a bit to give us details of why talks between government and the teacher unions have broken down. We'll get that update for you shortly. But let's get a sense of how nationwide this effect of the strike is. We take you first of all to the northeast region now and find out how the strike is affecting students. Ilyasu Tanko is joining us. He's our correspondent there. And Ilyasu, what can you report? Tell us how, the situation is where you are.
So yesterday, because of the slow pace of information, the situation was a bit different because the teachers were in the schools to monitor the movement of the school children. But today the situation is completely different. The teachers did not go to the schools. Some of the schools were completely shut. Some of the children were left all to themselves, and they had the day all to themselves, and they were loitering around in the rural communities. For instance, in the Yunyo district where I'm currently, some of the parents see this as a blessing because the children would help them to go to farm and also help them to look after their little ones. And so, yes, it's a complete shutdown here in the Northeast region.
And that's Elias Sutanko giving us a sense of what's happening in the Northeast region. Let's bring you a bit down south to the Ashanti region, precisely where Emmanuel Bright Kweku has also been monitoring the developments for us. Emmanuel, what can you report?
All right, Blessed. So during my tour to these schools here in the Ashanti region, and particularly some of the public basic schools, the numbers over there had reduced compared to yesterday. Yesterday, most of them were in school, including the teachers and the students. But unfortunately today, because the strike is still taking effect, most of the teachers did not come to school, and even the students, the parents prevented their wards from coming to school. So in a particular school which had a population of about over 1,000 students, today they recorded about 250. That is even less than half of the population size. So in the Ashanti region, in the basic schools, most of them did not turn up at school today. However, in the secondary schools, there is a divided attention over there. They are a bit divided on this particular industrial strike. So in some of the secondary schools, you'll find teachers in class teaching their students. They are engaged in full lessons at the school. Whereas in other schools, it was just the management, the administration management who were on campus to ensure that the students on campus, that is the boarding students, would engage in their own personal studies until their teachers come to school. In my engagement with one of the headmasters, he tells me that the teachers only come to check in that they are on campus, and even once they check in, they leave campus. So that is the situation here in the Ashanti region. Most of them are still on strike. There is low attendance in most of the schools in the basic level, but in the secondary level, there's a divided attention of
Emmanuel Bright Kweku giving us a sense of what's happening in the Ashanti region, and we can for sure tell you that that's the national story, and this is not ending, not at least in the next 24 hours, as we can't confirm now that initial talks between the government side and the pre-tertiary labor unions have broken down. In fact, government is scaling this up, and that's why the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations is tonight directing all of its officials to drag the pre-tertiary institutions to the National Labor Commission. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba joins us with details of the statement. Maxwell, why is the ministry taking this decision?
Well, so we have the letter signed by the Chief Director of the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, and it said, request for intervention in ongoing strike by pre-tertiary teacher unions. It says the attention of the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations was drawn to concerns raised by pre-tertiary teacher unions and appointment of a new Director General of the Ghana Education Service on 2nd November 2022. It says, due to its labor unrest implications, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations quickly invited leadership of the said unions to a meeting on Friday, the 4th of November 2022 for amicable resolution of the disagreement. It continues to say that even though the leadership honored the invitation and attended the meeting in the conference room, they had already declared a nationwide strike, and all attempts to get them to call off the strike have been unsuccessful. It says, I've therefore been directed to bring the matter to the attention of the National Labor Commission for its urgent requisite action. Many thanks for your usual cooperation.
And in fact, we need to state that on the letter is stated urgent, which means that this is happening immediately as we speak. And what's accounting for that break in talks between all the pre-tertiary labor unions and government, which was initially trying to avert the impact of the strike? My colleague Richard Kojonyako has been monitoring this in detail. Of course, he's been monitoring ever since the negotiations started, right, Richard? What can you tell us as to why government is seeking to head to the National Labour Commission?
So yesterday was the second meeting of the labor unions, the teacher unions, and then the government. So yesterday, after the back and forth, the meeting was adjourned to today, according to the Deputy Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, Bright Kubobe, and the teacher unions. The teacher unions sought permission to do a broader consultation with their folks and then return to the table. Now that was never to be, as when they were getting prepared to go today, they got a letter informing them that the Ministry of Labor Relations and Employment has directed them to go to the National Labour Commission.
And we also know that you have been interacting with leadership of NAT, specifically the General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa, who's been explaining to you, that's his side of the story at least, what may have triggered this decision for all the parties to head to the National Labour Commission.
He says that it is bizarre because they felt that they were getting to a point where they were going to reach an agreement, and then this was used to hit them. And so that is what Thomas Musa, the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, has been telling me.
We could not finish, and yesterday we continued with the meeting. And yesterday, as of the time that we were leaving, we all agreed that, look, today at 2 p.m., we will meet to continue with our discussion on where we left off. We'll meet today and continue. It was also agreed at the meeting that the Ministry of Employment Relations will send invitation letters to all the parties to attend. So those letters really went out there, and all the unions received our letters. Then this afternoon, just as we were preparing to attend the meeting at 2 p.m., another letter came dated 8 November 2022 with the content pointing to the fact that the matter has been referred to the Labour Commission, and the Labour Commission has been invited to take action by the
and that's my colleague Richard Kujinyako interacting with Thomas Musa, who's the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, giving us a sense of why government may have decided then to move to the National Labour Commission level. Let's bring in the Deputy Labour Relations and Employment Minister, Bragg Brobe. Thank you, sir, for joining us on Top Story. You had scheduled a meeting with the aggrieved teachers today, and all of a sudden, you made a U-turn and directed your officials to engage the aggrieved parties at the National Labour Commission. Why?
Well, good evening to you and good evening to cherished listeners on your platform. To begin with, I think that I will have to express gratitude to all the teachers who have helped by way of maintaining sanity in our classrooms. Parents, as always and usual, would deploy their children to schools because today's a Tuesday. And in spite of a strike action, we have quite a number of teachers in the schools ensuring that there's even on behalf of government. I think that we need to commend such teachers who are doing that. The second matter is that the ministry has not made a U-turn. Our invitation is still standing. In fact, we were ready at 2 p.m. waiting for them in our conference room until we got word that because of a letter which they were copied, the letter that they are talking about is not directed to them. They are just in copy. And this is purely because of good faith. And if because of that, they would not attend a meeting, that's quite unfortunate. But God willing, tomorrow we have been invited by the Labour Commission, and we will all go and ensure that peace is restored back into the classrooms.
And Mr. Rukubobe, all of this could have been averted, you agree, particularly when you know that the demands of the group is simple. Revoke the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa, and let's move on with life. Is there something else we need to know?
Well, if it was that simplistic, like you have made it appear, it would have been done. Unfortunately, that is not within my purview. for us in the labor ministry, we are looking at the labor unrest implications. And that is why we have stepped in, that whatever issues that we are discussing, the children must be in the classroom. We are talking about 6 million people that are affected here. And whatever the case is, we believe that we must have dialogue with our unions so that they go back to the classrooms and then we still can engage. That's what exactly we are doing. So we hope that tomorrow at the Labour Commission, these are the issues that will come to bear. And the invitation that the request made to Labour Commission for their intervention is not something that we were doing on the blind side of our union leaders. That's why they were in copy.
And I'm just taking a look at some of the claims Thomas Musa is making, and it brings us to the question about the constitutional procedure. They talk about Article 196 on how the president should be going about his appointments. Obviously, this should be done in consultation with the various governing councils. I'm just wondering if you are in a position to share with us what it is that informed the president's decision to appoint a banker as the head of the Ghana Education Service.
Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to discuss the merits and demerits of that matter. Our locus in the labor ministry, as our name implies, labor relations, we are looking for the best outcome of every situation. And in this matter, whatever it is, and as we speak, the teachers are on strike. And for us, we are intervening. We are doing everything we can for them to go back to the classroom. And then if we will still continue to engage and have this discussion and the merits and demerits, that will be fine. But for now, I think that the matter must not be reduced to discussing this matter on radio. I don't think that is healthy enough.
I'm asking the question because we do know for a fact that the sector minister himself, Dr. Osei Aduchum, was present when you began the pre-talks and pre-negotiations with this aggrieved group. Obviously, the cards would have been laid on the table. What briefing did you get from the minister? What briefing did you get from the sector minister?
I am still on my point that for us in the labor ministry, it is a restoration of peace. And therefore, the strike action is what we are attacking the most. And we are doing everything possible to get teachers back in the classrooms. The matter will still be there for us to discuss it. And for me, I think that deploying children to go to school and teachers not being there is something that is a worry to everybody, not only me, but I mean everybody. And that's what we are seeking to do. So tomorrow at the NLC, God willing, I'm sure that we will all discuss our matter there. And then our objective, as I said, as a labor ministry, is to ensure that these two factions come together, see eye to eye, they go back to classrooms, and, that's it.
And Mr. Brober, you might want to just hold on for us briefly. Let's get a sense of what may transpire tomorrow. The National Labour Commission's Executive Secretary, Mr. Ofusu Asamoah, is joining us tonight. Mr. Asamoah, thank you. It appears that you are starting work immediately.
Hello.
Mr. Asamoah, I'm just asking if you've commenced the processes of inviting all the aggrieved parties.
We have invited them for tomorrow at 10 a.m.
What grounds has the employer, in this case, a government, laid before you, as the National Labour Commission, for a reason for which you are going to hear from all of the groups?
An attempt was made to settle the matter, and they are unable, so they are seeking the intervention of the Labour Commission as a body mandated to mediate and settle issues among the players in the industry.
Are you hopeful that the teacher unions will appear before you, and as they do so, would you urge them to, revoke that directive, asking all of their members to go on strike? I guess it's not in good faith, and I'm just asking to be engaging while on strike.
I am hopeful that they will appear, as well as all the other parties. But as to the outcome of the case, I'm unable to predict, because that will be done by the members of the commission.
finally, I'm sure that you are watching the space and looking at the impact on the education sector. It's a sector you don't want to play with. So how do you intend to expedite the process?
Yes, you see, I'm a parent myself, so I feel like everybody feels. When it comes to expedition, we'll sit tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we have listed our cases for tomorrow already. But because of the urgency and importance that the commission attaches to the current situation, the chairman directed that tomorrow's meeting commence at 10 a.m. instead of 11, and we will give the first speech to the Ministry of Education and the teacher unions.
We are grateful for your time. That's the Executive Secretary for the National Labour Commission, Mr. Ofusua-Samoa. Mr. Bright Rekubrobe is still with us, Deputy Labour Relations Minister. And just as we look ahead to that engagement tomorrow, we are also getting a sense that, in the negotiation room, even before the NLC engagement, the teachers are also putting some new demands before you. Is this something that you can begin to deal with even as you engage the NLC?
Well, I think that the first thing is that peace is restored. If there is calm, then we can sit down and have all kinds of discussion in good faith and in trust and, confidence. We hope that when we meet all other issues, the education sector is one that is social in nature. So we can't solve all the problem at once. And I'm sure they have myriad of challenges and problems there. And once there is peace, I am very hopeful that all the issues will be dealt with on round table. And if the children are in the classrooms, if the teachers are teaching, the union leaders and management of the education sector, i.e., the minister, the GES themselves and all that, can have very constructive discussions and deal with this matter. So let's all be prayerful that we will have a very fruitful discussion tomorrow, and then teachers will be in their classrooms, and then everybody will be doing his or her job, so that the management people will be tackling their issues, the teachers will be dealing with curriculum and so on, and everything is going on smoothly. That is my prayer.
Grateful. Bright Rekubrobe, his Deputy Labour Relations Minister. Of course, this issue is attracting a lot more of reactions, even from Parliament as well. The Education Committee had earlier indicated its readiness to intervene if talks between government and the pre-tertiary institutions do not yield any favourable results. Let's bring in Clement Park, who's Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee in Parliament. Mr. Park, and I'm sure that you are monitoring the developments now. Where do we go from here? Is there any opportunity for you to avert the talks at NLC, which is happening in the next 12 or 24 hours?
Well, I wish I could say yes, but at the moment, the Committee on Education has not held a formal meeting on this matter. Although we've been having a conversation on our platforms, and of course we have been monitoring everything that is going on. I must admit that we are all disappointed with regards to the fact that we are gravitating towards 3 full days of a strike action, which is impacting the academic well-being of over 8 million Ghanaian students and pupils. So the severity of this matter ought to demand that the feuding parties must quickly find a resolution to the impasse. So while the committee is here to meet, and I believe that we will do so sooner than later, given that the whole day has been lost, a day that perhaps we were all hoping would have seen a resolution. Many of us are also advocating individually, calling particularly for the appointing authority to weigh the consequences of keeping the acting director general vis-a-vis the impact that position and the resistance from the teacher unions is going to have on teaching and learning. We must remember that the educational sector generally is experiencing some level of turmoil. And although we know of other, levels of the structure where strikes are already ongoing, there is a high possibility that if care is not taken, for the first time in the history of our nation and the history of the education sector, almost every tier of the ladder, from kindergarten to the university, will be affected
and Mr.
by one form or another of a strike action. And that certainly does not bode well for us as a nation.
For the sake of time, in just 30 seconds, would you urge the president to revoke the appointment of Dr. Nkansa?
Well, personally, as Dr. Park, yes, because I believe that that is the main reason why the teacher unions decided to go on strike. They had given a signal that they would go on strike. They held a press conference to indicate that if action was not taken in terms of the president reversing the appointment, they will go on strike. And indeed, they have made good of their word, which means that they are very resolute and determined.
All right.
So I think the president should consider their position vis-a-vis the interests of the students, and the lesser of the two challenges would be to revoke the appointment.
And I'm grateful for your time. That's Clement Apak, Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee in Parliament. As we look forward to the engagements tomorrow, let me wrap up with my colleague Richard Kojonyako. So, Richard, what more concerns do the teachers have?
That have not been given some of the teachers, and then the refund of that money. But they said that the appointment or the staying on of some of the regional directors of education, they have sorted that one out.
National Council of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the governing council at each national council meeting issued a communique. Some of the issues raised in that particular communique has to do with the revocation of the appointment of the Director General, also the opposition of the organization to the contract extension of Mr. Anthony Boateng. We also spoke about the issue of the refund of that's the 44 Ghana cedi 55 pesos, which has to do with the laptop refund, which His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, our National Debt Conference, January, promised that it should be refunded.
And that's Thomas Musa, General Secretary of NAT, wrapping up Top Story with me, Blessed Sogah. Next is Newsnight.